Good morning, fellas. Week 9. What a season, boys. We out here battling, man. There's a lot going on. We got a lot of traction. We got a lot of action. Some trades being made. We've having some huge weeks from teams. Battles of top contenders. Dynasty till death, man. Nothing but the best. Fuck the rest. We got a lot to get to, man. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it. Whew. So this week, man, crazy week. A lot of people trying to lock in playoff positions, trying to really do the most to round this season out. We'll start off with myself and Paul this week. I had a great showing with the wide receivers. I got the dub. Alan Lazard looks good. Lockett showed up. Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. We got the job done this week. Josh Allen, a little bit of a scare. We'll monitor that moving forward. Had a strip sack. A little damage in his arm. I think we're going to get some more information on that today. Definitely something I'll be paying attention to this week. For Paul, Jeff Wilson, man, I think Jeff Wilson looked good. Paul's in a stage right now where he is looking forward to kind of next year, but it's also great to see some assets on your team kind of step up and kind of gain some value. I think Jeff Wilson's one of those players. A.J. Brown, another great week. It's A.J. Brown. Christian Kirk had another great week. I think he saw 9 targets, got into the end zone. Wasn't enough to get the win, but you're starting to see some of the smaller details. That wide receiver room is really going to be a staple for Paul, especially with Jonathan Taylor having some questions this season. But Paul, nothing but respect as always. Always a tough battle with him, but was fortunate enough to get the dub and still be leading the division and the league right now as the number 1 seed. Whoo, big boys battling. Drew and Javi. Javi putting up 174. I want to commend Hobby, but at the same time, it takes that type of performance to beat an opponent like Drew. When Mahomes drops 43 on you, when Waddle is now a top 5 wide receiver, we got to start thinking about Waddle a little different. I've talked to Drew about this in private. He's mentioned it as well, but Waddle is starting to become one of those elite wide receivers. He's just hella consistent. Doesn't hurt that he's a Dolphin as well, so fins up in that regard. Kelsey saw 17 targets from Mahomes. Ugh, gross. But again, that's why Drew made the move he made. Kelsey is an elite asset. He makes a difference when he's in that starting lineup. It's just elite, man. It's just really elite. Drew, another strong week, leading the league in scoring, but just wasn't enough to get past freaking Joe Mixon, man. Joe Mixon, he had 15 touchdowns last week. Just ridiculous, man. That offense is explosive. We know that with the Bengals. Tiger King kind of put that on display this week. Really got to see the ceiling of that roster when some of those players are hitting. Javi does have questions. Swift, Najee, I would say coming into the year were 2 big name, very comfortable, top-tier dynasty assets at the running back position. But I would say they've taken some hits, man. Swift is, again, having injury issues. Najee has just not looked like Najee. So we'll see if Javi makes any moves before this trade deadline to kind of bolster that roster and support that playoff push. Drew did mention also Javi did lock in a playoff spot, so we need to make sure we make a note of that, Javi. In this league this early to lock something up like that, bro, nothing but respect. Tiger King, clause is out. And Zachariah and Justin. Man, Justin's just been injury plagued, man. It's tough. I've battled through some myself. I think we've all been there. Drew last year. Just injuries are tough to overcome, especially if you're in a spot where you're trying to trust your process, trust the build, and kind of stay within what you're trying to do and stay within the plan. So it's very tough. Justin's being very respectable, holding his own in that, but just not enough firepower, especially not having Saquon this week on a bye to get past Zach, who's becoming a force, man. Continue to mention it. When you have Tyreek Hill, you're a problem. As an owner, Tyreek Hill has been performing amazingly this year. Zach has been able to kind of ride him with some great support from his other players. And Zach is looking like the 3 seed right now. It is ranked out, myself 1, Javi 2, Zach 3, and we got the scariest 4 seed ever in Mr. Drew. Running back injuries, though, I think it was Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a little bit of an injury scare, was in a boot after the game. I think testing and reports came back positive. So shouldn't be anything too scary, but Zach is leaning on that RB1. Excuse the burps. leaning on that RB1. So if Aaron Jones, for whatever reason, can't go, Zach will be one of those teams probably looking to acquire some running back depth. If he feels confident this week he can get back, he might not make a move. He may just hope for that health to come through. Again, Zach's another owner who is for him is exceeding expectations, but his plan was 23, so I don't see him making anything drastic to jeopardize that game plan. Jawan Johnson coming through for Jeff with a late spot start for the dub. Ugh, gross. Last minute of the game, or last couple minutes, Jeff got a huge touchdown from Jawan Johnson to put him over Avery this week. I think Jeff's extremely happy about that since he traded for Avery's pick earlier in the day with yours truly. Man, Kyle Pitts on every side is just, man, it's real difficult. Romeo Doubs was having a good rookie season so far. We're seeing a lot of involvement, making some big-time catches. Was very hot or cold, but has a big injury. He had to get carted off. That will definitely have an impact. I know Thielen got a little banged up that week as well. So we're going to have to watch that. Still has Hopkins, still has Debo, still has CMC. So, man, that's and I think he's got the top two defenses to have between Baltimore and San Fran. And maybe not the top scoring defenses, just defenses that can give you more points than the average. So Avery is one of those teams, man. He just has had a rough season, but he's got the firepower any week. I'm not taking him lightly this week by any means. He's got that firepower, so he is to be respected. Jeff, getting the clutch win, man. Kenyon Drake was a great ad, brother. 20-plus points, Kenyon Drake. He does this often, man. About 4 or 5 games a season, Kenyon Drake will make you believe he's an RB1 for a team, and usually the following game he'll prove why he's not. But all that matters is Jeff got the win this week. Tough for Drake, man. It's real difficult. It's just not a you don't got a quarterback, man. And it affects both these teams with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. It just, the passing volume, it's definitely concerning. You have to be praying that they're targeting a quarterback next year. But they keep winning, so also it sucks because they're not going to have a high enough pick to get one of those elite guys. So we're still praying just from the dynasty outlook of London and Pitts. For the love of God, get Atlanta a fucking quarterback. But that being said, Jeff getting a good win. Avery doing what he can. Had a lot of buys, CMC and Debo this week, so it was going to be a tough out regardless. Jeff and John, man, this was a little playoff battle here. Both came in 4-4. John just had a bad week, man. Happens to us all. Down weeks happen. Just wasn't there with the scoring. None of his players succeeded as far as getting in the end zone or making big plays. So it is what it is. I'm not going to put too much on John there. It's just a down week. John's got some picks. He's got some young assets. He's got a Burks. He's got a Demont. So I think John's just going to continue to trust his process. He's in a position where he will have picks. He will be able to make some asset grabs next year in the draft. But he may want to capitalize on the team if they need an option or something like that. So maybe grab another first-round pick by moving one of his assets if his season's looking like it's coming to a close. Jeffrey Sims, not another strong performance. Just been low key getting it done. We got to pay him some respect. I'm big by win by any means. It don't matter if it's by an inch or a mile. A win's a win, and family's family. That was my Dominic Toretto. You're welcome. But ETN and Miles Sanders just been able to kind of ride that consistency from those two players. He's been playing the quarterback stream, which is a dangerous and scary place to live, but just living on edge. He's a gambling man. I know this for a fact. We have been at blackjack tables together, but he's getting it done. And just kind of on the outsides, I think he's got Rocco ahead of him, but he is a 6 seed right now. And I just want to commend Jeff because I don't think anybody had Jeff doing what he's doing. And this is, I speak to it a lot, man. This league is difficult. Wins are difficult. So Jeff Sims with 1M. I see you. Rocco and Bill. Rocco's Modern Life and Mr. Bill. Devontae Adams was gross, snapped early, made it a real competition. Goddard, big performance from Goddard. I think 8 for 9, 100 yards and a titty. Shows that ceiling that Goddard does have. There was a trade earlier in the season. Some questions, but this was a good reminder that Goddard has that ability to be an elite tight end at that position. Rocco, another strong week. Mooney showing a little bit of love weird week with Fournette. He's getting tough to kind of figure out. He's not running the ball as well. He's still getting the passing work. It's something definitely to pay close attention to, but it's a little concerning. But if anybody can have running back concerns, it can be Rocco with Fournette, Chubb, Derrick Henry, and Ramondre. Rocco will figure that out, but it was good to see him get a tough win there, tougher than expected at least. And it's been a hell of a week, man. Hell of a week. Javi locking up a playoff spot. Drew told me I'm one win away from locking up a playoff spot. Next week, so many interesting matchups, man. We got myself and Avery. I think that's going to be a battle. We got Rocco and Javi. Rocco is the 5th seed right now. He will need to get some points and need to get a couple wins, but he's the 5th seed. He's right on the outside looking in. A win against Javi would really shake some things up and leave some potential windows open. We got Bill versus Jeff, another team in Jeff trying to get into that playoff push against an opponent who is in a rebuild tank, whatever you want to call it. Jeff should be able to pull that win out there and keep some pressure on Rocco. And the 4 seed, also we got John and Jeff. There was a little side bet. Zach was a good friend of mine to let me know and remind me. They have a better record bet, John versus Jeff. If Jeff can pull this dub out, things will get a little dicey because they will have the same record. So that's going to be interesting. And then I think we got a little trap game here with Paul and Zach. Obviously, Paul would wish to continue to move that pick higher and higher up the draft. I'm speaking about his first-round pick. And Zach is feeling pressure with having Drew behind him, which is not a position anybody wants to be in, where you got Drew riding your ass with that fucking lineup, kind of pushing for your spot. Being the number 1 seed, I would prefer if Drew wasn't there either at the 4. But that being said, Zach needs to keep winning. Injury with Aaron Jones, hopefully that does not carry over. I'm feeling the same way about Josh Allen. These are crunch weeks for the playoff push, boys. We do it every week, man. We're a part of the greatest league, man. Dynasty till death. It's top tier. It's elite. If you're not going hard, then you need to go home because there is no room for weakness here. That's it, boy. Obi-Wan Kenobi, we signing off, baby. Dynasty till death. Week 9 recap coming in hot and ready. You dig? You're